Welcome to Jumpsuiters, a podcast where we explore multidimensional topics in a practical 3D reality sort of way. Today we're going to talk about everyone's favorite topic, boundaries, but specifically their role in supporting our life force energy, as well as the distortions that have made us fearful, even resistant towards them. Many people view boundaries as separation, that to set and hold a boundary is to be selfish, to reject, to diminish love. Others have swung to the opposite pole, using boundaries as rigid walls of defense, as protection mechanisms against intimacy, or even at times, as weapons. Boundaries, as I see them, are not walls, but thresholds. A wall is built to block, keep things in or out, but a threshold is built to invite. There's a crossing point where intention, choice, and transformation happen. In other words, walls separate, thresholds connect. Therefore, boundaries are not refusals or rejections at all. They're the geometry that makes love and connection possible. Throughout the greater cosmic pattern, there's no such thing as life without boundary. Stars hold their form with gravity. Galaxies spiral because they're contained within unseen edges. Light is seen only because there's darkness to contrast it. Form emerges only because there's void to shape it. Even source itself is revealed through boundaries. So it makes sense then that on Earth, as it is in heaven, that our own bodies mirror this design. Even our cell wall is a sacred teacher as it's permeable, porous, and alive. It allows nourishment in, allows waste to leave, and still holds the sanctity of form. Without this boundary, there would be nobody. Nobody. So understand this first. Boundaries are not against nature. They are the signature of nature's intelligence. Now, regarding boundaries in relationships, there are some that confuse love with boundarylessness. You collapse into codependency, discovering again and again that when two beings blur without edges, intimacy disappears. Because true intimacy requires form. It requires the courage to say, this is where I end and you begin. When you claim your boundary with clarity, this is my desire, or this is something that I cannot or will not hold, you're not pushing love away. You're actually carving the sacred path where love can travel safely. You're saying, if you step through this door with me, you'll meet the real me, not the collapsed me, not the distorted me, but the real, authentic, sovereign me. Your partners, your friends, your coworkers may resist at times because boundaries can feel like rejection to those who have only known love as collapse. But when they stand at your threshold long enough, they'll feel it. The boundary is the guarantee of your full presence. And when you honor their boundaries in return, trust deepens. The dance floor of relationship appears. Two beings can move together without stepping on each other's feet because the space has been defined. Boundaries create rhythm, and rhythm creates love. And I want to explore boundaries in business, a place where contracts, clauses, and agreements are often violated and weaponized. We've been taught that agreements are restrictive, that they suffocate creativity and prevent true collaboration, but this is also a distortion. A contract, when made with integrity, is a sacred container of energy. It's a boundary that says, within this circle, you may create safely. Here and in this way, your gifts are honored and your energy is protected and our exchange is clear. Without boundaries, resentment grows. Energy leaks. Creativity collapses under the weight of mistrust. But with boundaries, freedom emerges. The edges, like a riverbank, are what make the flow possible. So when you draft agreements for your communities and your companies, I invite you to upgrade your understanding of them to no longer see them as traps or cages. Remember them as sacred containers. And even though the legal language may look and feel dry, beneath it hums a deeper current, the geometry of safety, the architecture of trust. Business is ready to be reimagined on our planet, and the first step is to treat boundaries not as barriers for profit, but as portals to awakening. Because when businesses honor boundaries of people, planet, and purpose, it becomes fertile ground to deepening connection and expanding consciousness. So regarding the collective, Humanity itself is in a great lesson of boundaries. Nations, identities, communities, we're all asking, where do we draw the lines? Too few boundaries and things dissolve into chaos. Too many boundaries and we calcify. Rigidity suffocates innovation. Fear cuts you off from possibility. And you forget how to play. The medicine is in the balance. Boundaries must breathe. They must be alive, responsive, and attuned to the context. This is why we call them portals. They're not locked doors or steel cages. They're thresholds that we open and close with honesty, integrity, and love. So a healthy collective is one that says, these are our shared agreements. These are the lines for our safety. Within them, we'll flourish. Outside of them, we're not going to go. And when violated, I will uphold the boundary. I will not self-abandon. This is not exclusion. It's not punishment. It's coherence. It's the riverbank that allows the river to move. To declare a boundary is an act of clarity, but to hold a boundary is an act of mastery. Many people can speak the words, no, or not now. Yet when pressure comes, we soften, we collapse, we allow the edges to blur. This isn't weakness, it's conditioning, because we've all been programmed to think that firm is unkind, that to disappoint leads to danger, and that to guard your energy is selfish. But the opposite is true. To hold your boundary is the greatest kindness and expression of love because it allows trust and intimacy a place to land. Boundaries are not hard lines to defend. They're sacred agreements to keep. So consecrate them. Hold them as you would a flame, gently, steadily, and with reverence. When I enforce a boundary within Jumpsuit, what I'm doing is protecting the field. I'm saying, this is the edge of this container. Here's what you agree to. Here's what we agree to. And this agreement is designed to keep both of us clear and safe so that together we can do our best work. It allows our nervous systems to relax because the container is strong. Remember that boundaries are not stone. They're living agreements. They can be renegotiated, redrawn, reimagined, as long as all parties consent to the new edges of the container. This is the dance of sovereignty and trust, to return again and again to the threshold and ask, is this still true for us? Do these edges still hold the life force energy of each party? Now, listen closely. A boundary cannot be erased by one rogue party. If one party shifts their mind but does not seek alignment with the other, or if one breaks the agreement without consent, trust in the container fractures. Energy leaks, safety collapses, what was once a portal to possibility becomes a wound. When this happens, there's only one medicine. Return to honesty. Speak to the breach. Feel the consequence. Then choose together or apart whether to repair, renew, or release the bond entirely. Boundaries are sacred, and not because they never change, but because they're to be honored. They're to be kept in clarity, reshaped in truth, and only dissolved with mutual integrity. This is how love and connection remains alive. So before I go, here's a question. Where in your life are you leaking energy? Where are you saying yes when your body's saying no? These points of constriction are signals, invitations. They're the exact places where a boundary wants to arise. And a second question for you. Where are you disrespecting a boundary? And maybe instead of pointing a finger at someone else or working hard to defend your case, can you see how you may be out of integrity? Can you take ownership of your own self-abandonment? Because remember, a boundary is not the end of love. It's the place where love becomes honest. A boundary is not the death of freedom. It's the container that allows freedom to move without fear. So may you begin treating your boundaries as you would any sacred tool, with reverence, with practice, and with courage. Hold them, renegotiate them, Honor them as thresholds and portals and not walls, because when you do, something miraculous happens. Relationships become more real and your business becomes more alive. Boundaries are not the irritant preventing your expansion. They're the doorway into it. So step through, see what's possible when you stop self-abandoning, but instead create and hold boundaries with sovereignty.